Tamil Nadu Chief Minister goes viral, coughing and visibly irritated. Jaya on video as doctors performed tests on her. After Bhagwat, Hosable reignites the population debate. RSS leader blames Bangladesh immigrants, calls for anti-conversion law. Cricket war escalates as Pakistan threatens to pull out of the World Cup over BCCI saying no Asia Cup in Pak. India hits back.
Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast that comes to you from an altitude of 11,755 feet. I'm Gaurav Sawant. We are currently at the Kedarnath Ashram, at the Kedarnath Dham. And as you look around, it's snowing and it's snowing heavily. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to arrive at the Kedarnath Dham. Look at the enthusiasm of the devotees and the pilgrims here. There is snow. The weather has packed up completely. There is snow all around. And yet there is no drop in the enthusiasm of the devotees, of the pilgrims who are here. Just look around. While there is snow, while it was raining, while the temperature was a little below 0 degrees, yet you have people who are here saying Har Har Mahadev and Bam Bam Bole as and chants of Shankar Bhagwan ki Jai. This is right at the doorstep of the Kedarnath shrine. I also want to for a moment, the moment you get here, the first thing that you do is ring the temple bell and reach out to Bhagwan Kedar, pray. Now, we've been speaking to a number of the devotees here who've actually walked. The weather packed up today. They could not take the helicopter, so they chose to walk instead. It took them a good 12 to 13 hours in the snowfall, in the rain to get here, and yet they did.
It was 19th May 2019. Prime Minister Narendra Modi emerged from a cave in Kedarnath after a long meditative spell. He was miles away from the election frenzy of his constituency Varanasi, which was slated to go for polls the same day.
वर्तमान के हिंदुस्तान के वातावरण से पूरी तरह बाहर था, अलिप्त था, यहीं खोया हुआ था, न कोई कम्युनिकेशन रखा था, न कोई अपने आप में था। यहाँ का जो डेवलपमेंट का मेरा मिशन है, उसमें प्रकृति, पर्यावरण और पर्यटन हर प्रकार से संभाला जाए।
The 17-hour-long meditation took place in a cave with frugal amenities. It housed a wooden cot, a small window with a direct view of the Himalayan shrine and a telephone. But this was neither the first time nor the last when Narendra Modi became a hermit at Kedarnath. The first visit to Kedarnath Dham after he became Prime Minister was on 3rd of May 2017. 5 months later, he was back again to lay the foundation and to oversee construction work. A year later, on Deepavali of 2018, the Prime Minister was back at Kedarnath to pray and review progress of the construction work. About a year ago, on 5th November 2021, the Prime Minister offered his pooja in Kedarnath Temple. He also unveiled a 12-feet-high statue of Adi Guru Shankaracharya weighing around 35 tons. He also inaugurated projects worth 130 crore rupees.
इस धरती से हमारा एक विशेष नाता भी रहा है, तो आने का मन कर जाता है।
The Kedarnath Dham and temple have always been at the center of the Prime Minister's attention. He is also known to have spent 5 years of his life as a hermit at an ashram near the Kedarnath shrine. He has often spoken about his deep connection with Himalayas as his guiding force.
हालांकि दुनिया में चल पड़ा, बहुत कुछ भटका, बहुत कुछ घुमा, दुनिया देखी, और ये सब 18-20 साल 22 साल की उम्र में ही करता रहा मैं.
Look at the enthusiasm of the pilgrims and the devotees. A very young pilgrim, barely 5 years old, and look at the senior citizens around. It's pilgrims of all age groups who are here, who are braving the rain, who are braving the snow, and despite the rain and the snow, they are coming here. Now, senior citizens, they are all here. आप कहाँ से आए हैं?
गुजरात से आए हैं.
आप गुजरात से आए हैं?
या बड़ौदा गुजरात से आए.
आप बड़ौदा गुजरात से आए हैं?
हाँ जी. मेरा 12 ज्योतिर्लिंग हो गया. ये मेरा 12 ज्योतिर्लिंग था.
तो आपके सभी आपके ज्योतिर्लिंग हो गए?
सारी ज्योतिर्लिंग हो गया. 12 ज्योतिर्लिंग, यही ज्योतिर्लिंग बाबा बाकी थे, ये भी कंप्लीट हो गया.
तो आप हेलीकॉप्टर में आए कि पैदल आए?
नहीं, पैदल आए, घोड़े पर आए.
आप पैदल आए?
घोड़े
पे आए?
हाँ जी.
इस बर्फ में भी?
बर्फ में भी. अरे
एंजॉयिंग.
अच्छा लगा.
भगवान की मेहरबानी है तो ही ये पॉसिबल है, नहीं तो पॉसिबल नहीं है.
ये ज्यादातर लोग जिनसे हमारी बात हुई है यही कहते हैं कि ये भगवान केदार की कृपा है. If God is kind, you reach Kedarnath, and it is a very difficult journey. We've covered it before the tragedy or the disaster that took place in 2013, and we've covered it after 2013. We've walked before 2013 and after 2013. The track now is a little better than what it was earlier, but it does remain a 16-kilometer long walk, which ultimately reaches an altitude of 11,700 feet. Now, if you look around, preparations are being made for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. Barricades are being set up. Apart from the barricades, ropes. Look around, it's snowing very heavily right now, but that hasn't dampened the enthusiasm of the pilgrims who come here. Now, if I could once again talk about the disaster that had taken place in 2013, I just for a moment want to walk on the other side. You're looking at this long queue of devotees, unending queue of devotees despite the rain. But look at the other side. In 2013, when the glacier on top, it just came crashing down, it almost came and hit this temple. Fortunately, that big rock behind, that stopped, that big rock which is known as the Bhim Shila, that stopped the water from hitting the temple directly. But now if you look around, there is a wall that has been erected all along, a concrete wall. So God forbid, should there be another disaster like that, the water will be channelized on both sides and will not hit the temple. Not just that, look at this local stone being used right here. These slabs being used for a massive platform that is created so that devotees can sit all around this place and not be in a restricted place. And perhaps that is something that the devotees enjoy. Prime Minister will also be reviewing some of the development projects that had been started post 2014, their progress. Now, some argue it's been slow, but then the administration says it is extremely difficult. Many months this place is completely snowed in, and that is why these projects are slow, but the progress is steady. I spoke to a number of pilgrims, including incidentally a large number of foreign pilgrims who are now coming here. We bring you another report. Were you scared to fly in a helicopter here?
No, not really scared. Anxious for sure. A little nervous as well, but definitely not scared. This is my first helicopter ride. The news that we heard day before did disturb us a little bit. But then because I had senior citizens, I could not afford to become nervous myself. Anxious, yes, but...
Anxious but not scared. What about you, Tanmay?
Almost the same. I also travel with him, with all the senior citizens, family with us. So it was a bit nervous initially when we heard the news the day before. But after when the the chopper flew. It was all amazing.
What was the journey like? It's just 10 minutes, but it's an experience of a lifetime.
It is actually, what we've seen throughout, it was like a bird's eye view, and we couldn't ever see that if we walked along the entire path. So it was really amazing.
आपके मन में कोई भय था जब आप लोग यहाँ आए, वो भी जब हेलीकॉप्टर क्रैश हुआ?
थोड़ा माइंड में लग रहा था कि कहीं कुछ मिसहैपनिंग हम लोगों के साथ भी नहीं हो जाए, बट ऑल वाज वेल.
आपको डर था?
नहीं, बिल्कुल थोड़ा सा लगा था शुरू में, लेकिन उम्र के हिसाब से ना ये लगा भी जो लोग हो देगा, बाकी ठीक रहा, जो भी रहा ना सब बहुत अच्छा रहा.
आपके मन में कोई भय था? Were you scared about flying?
हाँ, भय था, फिर भी अच्छा लगा.
क्या सोच के आपने ये फ्लाइट ली?
जल्दी पहुंच जाऊं यहाँ से
जी,
और जल्दी दर्शन कर लूं.
तो जल्दी पहुंचे, जल्दी दर्शन कर ले. It of course is a long journey. It's 16 kilometers, takes about 7 hours. आपको डर लग रहा था हेलीकॉप्टर फ्लाइंग में, या हेलीकॉप्टर फ्लाइंग ज्यादा आसान है कंपेयर टू पैदल चल के आना?
मुझे लगता है कि दोनों चीज का आपको एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए, चाहे पैदल का हो चाहे हेली का हो. तो मैं कल बाय वॉक आई हूँ और आज मैं थ्रू हेली जा रही हूँ. तो मुझे लगता है जैसे पहले भी क्रैश हुआ था परसों, लेकिन मुझे लगता है मेरी भक्ति के आगे कुछ नहीं है, मेरी भक्ति के आगे कुछ है ही नहीं.
Nelly is from St. Petersburg in Russia. And Nelly, what brings you to the Kedarnath shrine? I mean, did you take a helicopter or did you walk to an altitude of 11,700 feet?
I come to helicopter special.
Okay.
Yes.
What brings you to Kedarnath?
I special come to Kedarnath second time. I do my work and show my program astrology special for my people in my country because people wait.
You're an astrologer?
Yes, I'm Jyotish astrology teacher and Vastu teacher.
A Jyotish Vastu teacher. What and is this the Hindu Jyotish that you teach? Really?
Really? Yes, really.
In Russia?
Yes, I live in Russia, but more 10 years ago start teaching astrology Jyotish.
What happens when you meditate here?
Meditation every day. Yes, but if you understand what feeling this place, then you first do it in your life because this place spiritual, interesting place. A Jyotirlingam, how Jyotish astrology. You know?
So it's one of the 12
yes,
Jyotirlingas?
12 Jyotirlingish home, and this place 12 home.
This is the 12th home?
Yes, 12th home.
And what does this do to your life?
Do finish different problem, different questions when you don't understand what do it in your life, different country, and this place understand how help communication different people.
Okay.
And how finish problem real.
Okay. So when you ask them what difference does visiting the Jyotirling bring to their lives, she said it solves all problems, and she's not the only one. Talk to any devotee, they actually tell you that this is one Jyotirling, that the energy that they receive here seems to solve all their problems. And just look around here, these devotees, they've traveled long hours, they've traveled virtually non-stop, and the chants of Har Har Mahadev and Bol Shankar Bhagwan ki Jai actually is a great morale booster for them. Just entering this place gives new energy to all the devotees, and that is what they say. They take it back, only hoping to return once again the next year with more devotees, with more pilgrims, for that positive energy that comes in their lives. That is what most of these pilgrims say. They've traveled long distances, all of them here, as they visit this Kedarnath temple. But for a moment, I also want to talk about the changes that have been brought here at the Kedarnath Dham, and the statue of Shankaracharya, Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya, that's come up behind this. The various centers that are coming up all around, which will enable people not just to come and pray here, but also equally important, to meditate, to carry out research on the life of Adi Yogi, Lord Shiv, we bring you this report.
The Kedarnath Temple, abode to Lord Shiva. A temple built more than 1,000 years ago that survived the vagaries of nature and stands tall. To the faithful, it's divine. To a layman, it's heavenly experience nestled between the snowy peaks and a fierce Mandakini river. Mythology traces the roots of this temple to the Pandavas of Mahabharata, archaeology to the 8th century. The local legends believe that the temple was built by the Pandavas, and this is where they meditated before ascending on their journey to heaven. The Kedarnath Temple is one of the 5 Kedars and 4 Dhams. It's holy for the spiritual Hindus, and lakhs of pilgrims come here annually to seek blessings, solace, and offer prayers. The shrine finds a mention in the Mahabharata, but the temple one sees today was built later. Though there are no inscriptions to go by, it is said that the temple was constructed by a king from the Pandava lineage. His name was Janmajaya. What stands at Kedarnath Dham today bears architectural style of the pre-Muslim invasion period. It's believed that the temple was built by Adi Shankaracharya in the 8th century AD. Some also claim that it was built by Raja Bhoj of Malwa region in the 2nd century. It's built in the ashlar style of construction. The stone slabs are interlocked into each other without the use of mortar or cement. The Shivling here is very ancient. It is of irregular shape with a pedestal of 12 feet in circumference and 12 feet in height. There's a small pillared hall in front of the temple with images of Parvati and of the 5 Pandavas. And right outside the temple is the statue of Nandi sitting guard. Behind it is the Samadhi of Adi Shankaracharya. The temple compound leads to the riverbank of Mandakini that resembles a rivulet but can be fierce enough to inundate the entire region. The temple is open for the devotees from the first day of Vesak or mid-April to the first day of Kartik in October, following the Saka calendar. The other 6 months the temple is closed, and the Vigraha or the deity of the temple is carried down to Ukhimat to be worshipped in winter.
So this is where we are on the other side of the temple. This is the wall that is being created. This is the wall to stop the flow of water. God forbid should it come once again. This is the walkway that's been created subsequently. The entire effort here is to give this place a new lease of life. And if we just turn around, this is the other view of the temple. The massive Bhim Shila. This rock came and stopped the flow of the water to the temple, just behind the temple. And that is where the water came on either side and saved the temple. So this is the rock, and people now come and pray at this rock too. They do a parikrama of the temple, then they do a parikrama of the parisar. But just look how beautiful it's looking right now. Marigold flowers, the temple, the pilgrims, the walkway, and snow all around. The temperature right now is 0 degrees, likely to fall to 2 below 0 in a couple of hours, and -5 at night. And that hasn't dampened the spirit of the pilgrims, the enthusiasm of the pilgrims who want to visit the temple before the doors of the temple, kapat as they say, is shut for winters, because all this place is completely snowed in mid-November. And then for the next 6 months, the prayers are held, as our report just showed you, at the Ukhimat. That's where Lord Shiv is taken for 6 months. But from Kedarnath, the Prime Minister will fly to Badrinath. And let me now take you to Badrinath. India Today's team of reporters also join us from the Badrinath Dham. Again, Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya, a very key role in the revival, not just of faith, but also of the dhams, the char dhams here in Uttarakhand, which is Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri and Yamunotri, the source of river Ganga. Incidentally, that's the Mandakini river that's flowing from this point. But also, there's a beautiful sulfur spring at Badrinath. But let me now take you to the Badrinath Dham and show you this report. The Prime Minister from Kedarnath will fly to Badrinath.
It is one of the holiest pilgrimage sites in India, the Badrinath Dham. Located at 11,000 feet above the sea level in the mighty Chamoli Hills along the Alaknanda River. Dedicated to Lord Vishnu, the abode of Badri Narayan, the presiding deity. The black granite statue finds mention in prehistoric Vedic scriptures and is believed to be Swayambhu or self-manifesting. The ancient temple was consecrated in the 9th century by Adi Shankaracharya. His religious teachings and rituals still continue. Lakhs of pilgrims assemble at Badrinath every 6 months, with chants of Jai Badri Vishal when the doors of the shrine opens after winter break. This time, fresh snowfall has brought fresh enthusiasm and spell of devotion to the age-old site. The temple is all decked up for the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, with flowers on the main shrine and fresh coats of paint in the premises.
डेवलपमेंट करना चाहिए इधर, तो आने वाला समय के लिए बढ़िया है. फिर भी पुराना हमारा धार्मिक स्थान पूरा कैसे देखे उसके बारे में पूरा करना तो और अच्छा है.
The Prime Minister's last Badrinath trip was amid the hurly-burly of elections, but full of religious fervour and adulation by devotees. Now, Uttarakhand CM Pushkar Dhami is himself overseeing preparations for the PM trip. After Kedarnath, Modi will be in Badrinath, where he will spend the night. A pooja in the shrine and review of Badrinath master plan are on the PM's agenda. A visit to Mana, the last Indian village on the China border, is also on the cards. Bureau Report, India Today.
Religious tourism is something that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his government are laying a lot of emphasis on. And when I spoke to the Purohit here, he says that in the past several years, of course during Corona, the footfall had stopped, but post that, there's a huge spike in footfall. Close to 15 lakh pilgrims have visited this year, and they're hopeful once the Prime Minister inaugurates tomorrow, of course, he's laying the foundation stone of the ropeway from Sonprayag to Kedardham. But once that ropeway comes, that footfall will increase. Their aim is eco-tourism, ecological tourism. They don't want to disturb the ecology of this place. At the same time, they want more Indians and those who come to India to benefit from the energy that comes from these places, especially the Kedarnath Dham. Now, just behind me, that's the rock. Remember, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had spent a night at that gufa or a cave here at Kedarnath for peace, for calm. Now, devotees here are being encouraged to not just come here to pray and go back, but stay at the dharmshalas here, stay at the resorts or the hotels that are also coming up here, religious resorts, and also do research, also meditate. So there is a Kedarnath Dham complex that's coming up all along this place so that people can come here and spiritually, you look at physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being, also look at spiritual well-being of the human being. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as you well know, is a Shiv Bhakt. He was at the Mahakal Temple, recently inaugurated the Mahakal Corridor, the Kashi Corridor we've been reporting from Ground Zero for quite some time. And similarly, there is an effort that across the country. Now, Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya, when we talk of Char Dhams in Uttarakhand, there are also Char Dhams from Rameshwaram to Jagannath Puri to Dwarkadhish, where the entire country is brought together in one spiritual bond. That effort is being encouraged once again. We bring you this report on Shiv Bhakt Narendra Modi.
Acclaimed ancient Shivling in Kashi's Gyanvapi Mosque. And not far from it, Shiva's Bulvahana Nandi in the Kashi Vishwanath Mandir next door. A complex that has imprisoned the attention of India's faithful for weeks now. The Kashi Vishwanath Temple, newly spruced up and ready for a new generation of worshippers, is but one of 12 Jyotirling temples mentioned in the Shiva Purana. Temples dedicated to Hinduism's Lord of the Universe. While the Kashi Vishwanath Temple has become the emotive center point of a new legal spectacle, let's tell you about the other 11 Jyotirlings, splendid shrines to the great god. In no particular order, let's begin with the best known. Famous to millions of devotees and popularized further by politics and cinema, the Shri Kedarnath shrine nestled high up in the Himalayas in Uttarakhand. According to Hindu legends, the temple was initially built by Pandavas. The temple is one of the 4 major sites in India's Chota Char Dham pilgrimage. The complex was damaged by the devastating 2013 flash floods, but has since been refurbished to a new glory. Then there's Gujarat's famous Somnath Temple, one of the most sacred pilgrimage sites for Hindus and believed to be first among the 12 Jyotirling shrines of Shiva. The temple was revived and reconstructed several times in the past after repeated and uninterrupted destruction by multiple invaders and rulers. The shrine is of huge importance to devotees. With an eye on election to the Gujarat Assembly in December this year, the central government has declared that donations made to the Somnath Temple would be exempt from taxes. Another famous Shiva shrine, popular with devotees nationwide, is the Mahakaleshwar Temple in Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh. The presiding deity is Shiva in the lingam form. The southernmost of India's 12 Jyotirling temples of Shiva is the Ramanatha Swami Temple on Tamil Nadu's Rameshwaram Island. The temple has the longest corridor among all Hindu temples in India. In Hindu mythology, the presiding deity, the Ramanatha Swami Shivling, was established and worshipped by Lord Ram before crossing the bridge to Lanka. The 12 Jyotirling temples are not only among the most visited temples in the world, but also the most revered. The 12 Shiva Jyotirlingas symbolize the utmost dimensional reality and signify the supreme power of Lord Shiva. On Mahashivratri, pilgrims offer prayers to the devotional presence of Lord Shiva in the form of the Jyotirlings. In each of these 12 sanctum sanctorums sits different forms of the Mahadev.
So the 12 Jyotirlings, this visit, this pilgrimage is said to be the toughest, but not for the young generation. And Lord Shiv connects with the young generation very easily. If you just look around, look at some of the youngsters who are here, like this young man here who's actually talking to his family. You're talking to your family? Yes. And you're helping them do the darshan?
I have seen this. I have seen this now, and I'm so happy. This is my family. This is my brother.
Okay. So your brother is also doing darshan sitting at home?
Yes.
You know, this is a unique aspect. I hope you had a good darshan, my friend. Yes, now, if you look around, virtually everybody has a mobile phone in their hands. some of the youngsters I spoke to said this way they make their parents and grandparents who cannot come here do the darshan. This is how the young generation, the older generation and the much older generation are once again connecting with the roots. There's another aspect. When we were coming up a little ahead of the helipad, you had a group of youngsters on their motorcycles that come till Guptkashi, till Gauri Kund. From there they walked up, and then this place they sat down and they were all doing the Mahamrityunjay mantra for the well-being of those on bikes, all wearing the Lord Shiva t-shirt. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Vandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Mamritat. And they knew the meaning. It wasn't to live forever, but to live a full life. Here is Amish Tripathi and some younger authors and young people talking about how and why Lord Shiv connects so easily with the Gen Next and the Gen Z.
Shiva. Mahadev. Omnipresent as a pop culture icon. From books to blockbuster films, television series to tattoos, Lord Shiva has been an inspiration and the cool god of the new generation. Shiva has been especially predominant in the south of India. Kings and queens of the Chola dynasty patronized construction of Shiva temples. No wonder then the epic hit Bahubali became one of the first films to break the language barrier in Indian cinema.
ఎవ్వడంట నిన్ను ఎత్తుకుంది ఏ తల్లికి పుట్టాడోయి.
The iconic scene of Prabhas carrying a giant shivling, now etched in the minds of cinema lovers and part of cinematic history.
ఉందేమో గంగధరికి లింగమే కదిలొస్తానంది. वही शून्य है वही इकाई, वही शून्य है वही इकाई, वही शून्य है वही इकाई, जिसके भीतर बसा शिवा.
Shiva's powerful mantras and chants have also been ruling popular culture. Whether it is the track Bolo Har Har from Shivai, or this new take on an old classic, celebrating Shiva in all his glory. And who can forget this cult classic, Rajesh Khanna and Mumtaz dancing in absolute abandon, toasting the pyala in the name of Mahadev. Indian films and culture never had a more popular icon than Shiva himself.
And from Kedarnath, let me now take you to Ayodhya. Deepotsav, the festival of lights to celebrate the return of Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram. Remember, Dashehra is the victory of good over evil. Deepotsav or Diwali is Shri Ram, Ma Sita and Lakshman returning home along with Hanumanji to Ayodhya. And everyone lit their homes. Now across the country and Hindus across the world, they light diyas to mark the return of Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram back to Ayodhya. This year, there's another world record that's being attempted. Officially, they're saying that 15 lakh diyas are to be lit up, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will light the first diya when Deepotsav is celebrated. But when we spoke to the administration, they say, just to make sure, they will light more than 16 lakh diyas, each with 40 milliliters of oil in it. And thousands of school students have been roped in for this very elaborate exercise. India Today's Samarth Srivastav is on ground zero in Ayodhya with this report.
With Diwali approaching, the splendid Ram Mandir's construction underway, ghats of Saryu illuminated, and the whole city dolled up. Ayodhya is all set to celebrate Deepotsav. Setting a target to illuminate over 15 lakh diyas on October 23rd, over 20,000 volunteers of Awadh University are trying to break the record they have set. Ayodhya had earlier lit 9.5 lakh earthen lamps in 2020, while in 2019, 5.84 lakh diyas were lit.
This time, this Deepotsav has become more important with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's presence, where Uttar Pradesh is targeting to lit approximately 16 to 17 lakhs of diyas, and that is something which is going to be a grand affair this time as far as Deepotsav is concerned.
Ayodhya will witness Ram Leela performances from 8 states across the country. Ramayan will be narrated through laser and light shows.
देखिए, सबसे पहली बात तो कि हम लोग बड़ा गर्व महसूस कर रहे हैं कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी छठे दीपोत्सव में आ रहे हैं। ये जरूर है कि थोड़ा दबाव हम लोगों पर और बढ़ा हुआ है, लेकिन ये बड़े गर्व का क्षण होगा जब वो दिया जला करके दीपोत्सव का शुभारंभ करेंगे।
With Prime Minister Narendra Modi set to attend the events, there is much enthusiasm in Ayodhya. This is also the first Deepotsav of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's second term.
हम लोगों की अपार प्रसन्नता है हम लोग के अंदर में कि अयोध्या जिस प्रकार से एक सनातन धर्म संस्कृति का हब है, प्राचीनतम पौराणिक, और जिस प्रकार से देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी रहेंगे उस कार्यक्रम में, तो देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी को कोट कोट आभार और धन्यवाद, और मुख्यमंत्री जी को आभार और धन्यवाद.
Keeping the high-profile visit of Prime Minister Modi in mind, the district administration has tightened security in the holy city.
सर पे तैयारियां हो रही हैं और लंबे समय से उसकी तैयारियां हो रही हैं, और आपकी शुभकामनाओं से और इसी उम्मीद के साथ कि एक विहंगम अवसर है दीपोत्सव, एक उत्सव है, बड़ा उत्सव है पूरे समाज के लिए, सभी के लिए, वैसे ही उसी का अनुरूप कार्यक्रम है.
Ever since Yogi Adityanath came to power in 2017, Ayodhya has witnessed grand Diwali celebrations every year.
This time, in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Deepotsav is going to be a grand affair, and for that preparations are being made in full swing to make it a significant and a big one. In Ayodhya with cameraman Neeraj Kumar, Abhishek Mishra for India Today.
Well, that is all we have time for on this special broadcast from Kedarnath. And if I may, we are just trying to ring the temple bell once again as thousands of devotees once again line up for their darshan at the Kedarnath Temple. That is all we have for you on this India Today special broadcast from Kedarnath. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.
जितने भी पूरे भारत में सिक्योरिटी गार्ड लगे हुए हैं सबको मान सम्मान मिलना चाहिए।
हम अकेले ड्यूटी करते, हम गरीब आदमी हैं सर।
आत्मसम्मान तो मेरा चला ही गया, मुझे सिर्फ रिस्पेक्ट चाहिए।
हम आपकी कहानी पूरी दुनिया को सुनाएंगे और आपके स्वाभिमान के लिए आवाज उठाएंगे। रात 9 बजे आज तक पर।
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
Heavy rains are affecting India and Bangladesh. More than 30 people have lost their lives to the floods. Bangladesh has lost access to electricity and the internet, while millions are stranded. Monsoons and seasonal downpours occur in many parts of the world in the countries close to the equator. But the best-known monsoon, due to its intensity and impact on people's livelihoods, occurs each year in South Asia. It runs between May and September. Well, as the summer approaches, heat builds over the land in the Indian subcontinent. Sea temperatures around the landmass, meanwhile, are much cooler. Warm air is less dense than cold air, so when heat over the subcontinent rises, air rises too, creating a vast area of low pressure. Over India, this causes wind direction to swing dramatically from the northeast to the southwest. Wind from the southwest, generated by high pressure in the Indian Ocean, then rushes in and fills the void left by the low pressure area. As it's full of moisture, it unleashes relentless rain over the land. Climate change, global warming, changes in land use and pollution can all affect the rainy season. Even dust from North Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, which heats up the air, can play a major role, making it even more intense. Monsoon is vital to the lives of hundreds of millions of people. 2/3 of India's population of 1.2 billion live in rural areas. India gets 80% of its precipitation from the monsoon. More than half of India's farms lack irrigation, so they depend almost entirely on the annual rains. But monsoon rains can also bring devastation and misery to hundreds of thousands of people through flooding, mudslides, and collapsed buildings.
Japanese car maker Nissan showcased 3 of its most popular international SUV models with the new X-Trail SUV set to be launched first. The latest versions of the Juke and Qashqai have also been shown in New Delhi, with the latter being tested on Indian business roads. Business Today TV's associate editor Chetan Bhutani caught up with Rakesh Srivastava, managing director at Nissan India, and asked him about the products and his outlook for the festive season going forward. Listen in.
Today we have showcased 3 technologies, the e-Power, the e-Force and the hybrid, to our Indian customers through the media partners of ours, and 3 different body styles in SUVs itself. We believe the Indian customer right, is very discerning, very demanding, and is now very well globally connected. In view of this, right, we believe the opportunity is good, right, towards addressing specific needs, specific wants of the Indian customer. Nissan has pioneered SUVs in the global market. And when we say we have pioneered it, we have led, right, the SUV market by way of multiple product options addressing multiple customer needs. And the beauty is that today we have an opportunity to demonstrate the same, our global product portfolio, to the Indian customers.
Sure, sir. You mentioned that the X-Trail would come to India first and eventually the later products would come. Any timeline that you would like to focus on? I'm not asking the exact timeline, but yes, this would definitely pump up the consumer sentiment. So any hint that you would like to give us?
As we said, and as was announced by the President, right, currently we are testing products, right, because Indian driving conditions, right, looking at the suitability, the feasibility of it, and we are working on it. And as committed by the President, X-Trail will be the first one to be brought into the Indian market.
Right, sir. Tell us about how much is the global headquarters investing into the Indian markets, and with these three products, what are the India plans for expansion, for dealership expansion, marketing plans, and really getting the customers to the whole now, sir?
When we talk about global investments or the global headquarter investing in India, this investment started long back, right? It's almost now 17 years, and then we have invested in India by way of a manufacturing facility, research and development facility, digital facility, right, a sales company and a finance company. We have a very, very unique proposition. Investments running beyond 6,000 crore plus, creating employments. And over these years, right, we have been able to pick up the right insights, what the Indian customer wants, and not only making in India, only for India, we also export cars. And I think that's the strength of Nissan in India. And towards this, we can say is that, yes, we make, right, our stakeholders very proud.
Sextortion, e-commerce thugs, digital fraud, inside latest cybercrime hotspot. Jamtara Files Part 2. India Today Special Investigation at 8 p.m. on Newstrack.
Let's get you breaking news coming in this evening. The new BCCI chief, Roger Binny, has spoken out on the India-Pakistan cricket war. When asked on his take on India not travelling to Pakistan for the Asia Cup, Roger Binny said that it's not the BCCI's decision, it's the government's decision. He's reiterated that it depends completely on the government. Roger Binny also, in that press interaction, said that we abide and follow the government rules and regulations. So Roger Binny, the new BCCI chief, saying very, very clearly that as far as India playing in the Asia Cup in Pakistan is concerned, it's a decision the government will take.
That is not the BCCI's call. See, we can't say where India goes. If whatever was done, if we leave the country or teams come into the country, we have to get clearance from the government. So once the government gives us the clearance, then we go ahead. We can't take a decision on our own. We have to rely from the government. See what happened exactly now when India's turn to host the Asia Cup. They gave it to the UAE to host. You see, so that's what India, probably the BCCI wants to do. They want the Asia Cup to be played in a neutral venue. You see, but we have not approached anybody in that time. That is not the BCCI's call. See, we can't say where India goes. If whatever was done, if we leave the country or teams come into the country, we have to get clearance from the government. So once the government gives us the clearance, then we go ahead. We can't take a decision on our own. We have to rely from the government. See, what happened exactly now when India's turn to host the Asia Cup, they gave it to the UAE to host. You see, so that's what India, probably the BCCI wants to do. They want the Asia Cup to be played in a neutral venue. You see, but we have not approached anybody in that time.
Interesting comment coming in there from the BCCI chief. We're going to track all the latest updates that comes in on that big story. Coming up on the other side, I'm getting you all the latest on the big pollution face-off that's playing out in the national capital. The cracker ban hypocrisy is being called out now as the Aam Aadmi Party has announced that anyone who bursts crackers will be jailed, whereas those who burn stubble will not be. That's my top focus on 6 p.m. Prime. I'm joining you in just a few moments.
Can you imagine your life without Swiggy, Dunzo, Zomato, Zepto? Well, let's just nod in agreement that life would not be the same without these apps. But can we look at them with a finer lens? After the pandemic, reliance on these apps increased, and so did the demand and supply for gig work across India, according to Taskmo Gig Index. Gig work consists of income-earning activities outside of traditional long-term employer-employee relationships. So essentially, these gig workers are those who are delivering the items you order through these apps. But there are problems this workforce is facing. Problems around social security rights and working rights. These problems are also the primary cause of distress among the emerging form of employees. So let's explain what a gig economy is. Gig economy is a free market where organizations like Ola, Uber, Zomato and Swiggy hire or contract workers for a short span of time. Basically, these are temporary positions to meet the company's immediate requirements. Gig workers are those who are part of this economy. They work independently on call or on a temporary basis. India is the 5th largest gig economy according to an India Staffing Federation report. In India, over 15 million workers are employed as gig workers across the industries. And digital platforms played an important role in helping job seekers find these gig work. Gig workers suffer from the lack of social security, sanitary working conditions, and working rights. So this sector is highly unregulated, which, like any unregulated sector, results in nominal benefits and reduced security. You can call this a shinier extension of India's unorganized labor economy. According to India's Code on Wages 2019, a universal minimum wage and floor wage should be provided to all organized and unorganized sectors. That includes gig workers. Likewise, the Code on Social Security 2020 recognizes gig workers as a new category. That also makes them eligible for benefits like maternity benefits, life and disability cover, old age protection, provident fund, and employment injury benefits. However, the eligibility does not guarantee that they will get these benefits.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India...
If you live in Delhi and you burst crackers this Diwali, you could be jailed for 6 months. But at the same time, if stubble burning happens at the outskirts of Delhi, they won't be jailed. This has led to questions about the Aam Aadmi Party, which has successively every year chosen to blame the Punjab government for pollution levels rising in Delhi. They've said that this is a crackdown on pollution, and that's why there is a crackdown against the use of crackers, a blanket ban on crackers. But what about the other big cause of pollution, stubble burning, which continues unabated? We're getting you a ground report calling out the AAP's hypocrisy on pollution on 6 p.m. Prime this evening. With me, Akshata Nandagopal.
Do the rising petrol prices and inflation scare you? How much do you earn in a month?